Welcome everyone to this webinar hosted by both Seller Candy, us, and ecom Triage. We're partnering with ecom Triage to host this, and Dana, my friend from ecom Triage, is going to be presenting and sharing with us today. So I'm gonna keep quiet, hand over to Dana, disappear, and then if you need me, I will pop up in the background.
Cool. Sounds good. Shall I go for it?
Go ahead, sir.
Alrighty. So I'm going to do a quick screen share with everybody. So let's move a few things. Oh no, share. First thing I want to let you know is that you're going to be able to, I've got a QR code in a few strategic places in this presentation so that you can snapshot that and actually download the presentation if you want it. And where did my presentation go? There it is.
We can
All
see it.
right, cool. Okay, good. Yeah. Well, I lost it because I've got multiple screens and desktops and so all right. Let's start off with who am I? My name's Danon Coleman. I've been selling on Amazon since 2010 in the supplement space the entire time. I've been helping build software and service solutions since 2018, and a culmination of my experience and knowledge and experiences has resulted in ecom triage. And I basically really like helping sellers. And with that, my experience and knowledge and my network, I can shortcut a lot of problems to a solution without you having to spend a bunch of time or money, which really are the same thing, but not having to spend a bunch of time or money to figure that stuff out yourself. So, by the end of this webinar, you should have a better understanding of two areas. The first one being review removal. So, what types of reviews are eligible for removal and how to detect fraudulent activity, and then protecting your catalog. And I'm not going to go into great depth on any of these things. The first step is because I could spend literally hours going into all of the policies and stuff like that. So my goal on this is that by the end of the webinar, you have a better understanding of these two areas so that you can take action and you're no longer in mystery. And like I promised down at the bottom right, you can download this presentation by clicking that link. Okay, so Ecom Triage has two primary services. The third is consulting for both agencies and brands. But my two primary services that I provide to brands is review removal, which we identify the ones that can be removed, and then we work with Amazon to get them removed. And then Catalog Defender, where we're monitoring your ASINs around the clock and we alert you of problems. And the reason Seller Candy and Ecom Triage are partnered up is because, I mean, everybody needs review removal, in my opinion, but Catalog Defender lends so well to what Seller Candy is doing that if you've got that, we'll give access. If you're using Catalog Defender, we'll give access to Seller Candy, and then we can have a notification system put together where they'll get notified of the specific types of issues you want them to resolve. So those are my two primary services, and that's all pretty much all I'm going to say on that. So starting off with review issues, I think we all understand that negative reviews can kill your sales. So a single 1-star review can cancel out as many as 10 5-star reviews. This is not a an exaggeration. It definitely can do that. I've seen it as much as 17. And you might ask yourself, well, how? Why? How is that even possible? And the reason is that Amazon, and they publicly say this, if you look at the reviews section, there's a link there. How do we calculate reviews? They tell you it's not mathematical. It's not an equation. So review recency has something to do with it. The authenticity of the review, and I believe that it goes well beyond that, just like it does with Google, because I'm a Google local guide, and the things that make a review more legitimate and hold more weight is how long is it? What kind of reviews does a reviewer do? Are there pictures? Are there videos? And what's the historical type of reviews that reviewer does, right? When it comes to fake and fraudulent reviews, one last little thing that's just in that. If you go from a 4.3 to a 4.2, you lose that half star rating, and that's going to drop your sales by around 25 to 50%, depending on your category. So when it comes to fake and fraudulent reviews, Amazon's got systems in place and they prevent millions and millions of fraudulent reviews. However, millions still get through because as Amazon creates whatever they create to stop it, it's a whole bunch of machine learning stuff and LLMs and that kind of stuff. The reviewers, they get around them and they figure out how to game the system. It's kind of like us as sellers. We figure out what works and then Amazon ruins it, and then we got to refigure out what works. So some of the things you want to look for when it comes to fake reviews are what does the reviewer's account look like? Are they only leaving like really alarmist information, like alarming reviews and 1 stars, and or do you see 1 or 2 or 3 negative reviews on a product similar to yours? Let's say yours is one of the negative reviews, but then there's one that has a competitor, which is a 5 star, that has the most amazing review you've ever seen, but the rest of them are dangerous to all life and earth. Well, okay, that's probably a fraudulent account. And you can report those accounts, by the way. I'll show you that in a little bit. So when getting reviews removed, I do this for a living, and it's a pain in the ass for us because you would hope, I pray that we all have this one day, but you would think that if Amazon sets the rules on what is allowed in a review, and you tell Amazon, hey, I found something that violates your review, your rules, they go, cool, yeah, we'll remove the review. Well, they don't do that. I don't know what the deal is. I have searched high and low. I have actually flown to Seattle on 2 separate occasions specifically to meet with Amazon and try to figure out a way to the team that actually does this and have a conversation and just get in the room with them. I've been unsuccessful both times. In fact, going to Amazon has been completely useless and just a waste of money, unfortunately. But it's tough to get the reviews removed. But I'm going to give you a template in here, and you'll probably want to download this presentation because the template I provide you is quite long, where it's one of the templates that we use to get reviews removed for our customers. All right, so catalog issues. Amazon doesn't notify you of all those listing issues, right? These random little problems can lead to suppressed listings or orphaned ASINs or split reviews, and they can cost you thousands or tens of thousands of dollars. And there are a few tools out there, Catalog Defender, of course, being included, that do this, but I've never seen anything with the simplicity of what we're doing. And when you match that up with a company like Seller Candy, you can like be on top of this stuff super quickly. So your health issues are not always visible, right? Think about incorrect browse nodes or incorrect brands. You don't necessarily look at that every day. And yet those little things, they cause you these little issues that stack up. It's like I don't know, importing a product. If you're not aware of all of the fees that are involved when the shipping and the duty and this price for that piece and this price for that piece and tax and whatever, then it ends up costing you a lot more money than you realize, and you just don't have the profit that you think you do. This is the same way. You might not have any issues with sales. You might have an issue with sales and don't know why, or this might be a time bomb that's ticking, waiting to explode and cause you a problem, and your listing goes down and you don't know why, and Amazon doesn't tell you, and you have to go figure it out. I've experienced all of these, by the way. And the worst one being is during COVID. So I told you earlier, I'm in supplements. One of the supplements we sell was vitamin C. Well, our sales went gangbusters during COVID, and then Amazon shut us down. Not just the listing, Seller Central, and not just one Seller Central, but three of my four Seller Centrals all got shut down. No notifications, no performance issues, no nothing. And it took me 4 months to get them back up, and it basically killed. It didn't basically. It fully killed our business. And it's just my wife and I, by the way, and my children, but they seem to cost more money than they do provide money for the family. Anyhow, so um, you spend. I know you already spend a lot of time fighting with Amazon. Forget that. Hire Seller Candy. And I realize I'm pitching Seller Candy a lot here, but it's true. Like, you could get the issue and have the issue known, but that's only step one. The other step is that you have to tell Amazon to fix the issue. The sneaky and just so wonderful of Amazon to do the thing that they do is they say, well, you haven't provided us the right information. I mean, show of hands, how many people here have done a case with Amazon and had it either resolved or declined off of baloney? I'm just going to assume everyone's going to raise their hands. So the second part is knowing exactly what Amazon needs to know in order for them to resolve the issue for you. Okay, so we're going to touch on reviews now. I think we all know this report button is here. I've never once seen it actually do anything, ever. However, it's there. You should still use it. I believe that Amazon aggregates this data over time and then does an inspection, but I've tested this on literally, I can't say thousands. I can comfortably say hundreds of reviews. Only hitting this report button, not a single one got removed, but you should still use it. When it comes to reporting a buyer account, so you see, this is a pretty good example of what I would call is possibly a fake account. One single word titles and just reviews that are like not descriptive. I Full disclosure, I randomly grabbed this account, and I did it because it just said gross garbage fake. That's 3 different reviews. These are very cheap looking. They must be a knockoff. I mean, this is, you know, these are the things that pique my interest when I'm looking at an account. And then I go and I look. The next thing I would do is, okay, we've got 3 1-star reviews sorry, 4 1-star reviews in succession, and then only a single 5-star review. Next thing I would do is I would open these reviews and go, okay, what was the date that all of these reviews were done? And what you might find is that the 5-star, and there were 2 more reviews on this account. It just wasn't important to have it in the screenshot. But what you might find is that the reviews are batched, right? So this review, this review, this review, and this review were all done within a 7-day period. But the last time they did a review, say this 5-star and these other 2 reviews that aren't here, was 3 months ago. So one of the things I've found is that these fraudulent accounts, what they do is they rotate through them. They batch the reviews. These are legitimate purchases. They batch them, they get out of the account, and they move on to another account. But this is how you report the review, the profile. So this is Nikki Henson. You want to report them because you think they're fraudulent. You click these 3 dots right here, and you click right there. All right, here's my template. Feel free to take a screenshot of this if you want. But once again, you can use that red QR code to download the whole get access to this whole presentation. So let me go. This template, by the way, is the result of probably 8 months of trial and error, maybe even a year of trial and error with Amazon. So this is one of those times where I'm shortcutting this for you. Um, you have to have the ASIN in there, of course, but you also need the permalink to the review. You also need the link to the profile of the reviewer. And then you need to tell Amazon what was said that is not TOS compliant, and then what part of the community guidelines was it's in violation of. And then as a cherry on top, you need to tell Amazon how it negatively impacts customer experience, because Amazon does not give two shits about you. They only care about their customers. So you have to, there's two things here. Keep your emotion out of it. Amazon doesn't care how you feel. Okay. That's number one. Number two is you need to tell Amazon how it affects their customers, the people that are buying, because that's what's important to them. Right. And keep it succinct. Right. Understand that the first person that's going to see this almost certainly has English as a second language. So don't use big words and keep it as short and to the point as possible. You'll get better results that way. Now, why am I giving this away when this is what I use and do for you as a service? That's because I know that the amount of time that you're going to have to involve yourself with on this is going to be, will rapidly become not worth it to you, because you can spend your time elsewhere growing your business rather than trying to get reviews removed. Okay, let's talk about Catalog Defender now. So we monitor for more than 20 issues, and I just decided to put a few in here. But some of the things that you can look for are orphaned ASINs, and just to define what that is, because I think that some people aren't really sure. An orphaned ASIN is when a child ASIN gets split away from the parent and then becomes its own parent ASIN. And when that happens, let's say you've got three variations, red, blue, and green, and the favorite color is green, and the second is red, and the third is blue, and red gets split off. Well, red takes all of those sales and goes into, and all of the reviews that have been done associated with that child ASIN, and goes off into its own ASIN, which you're not advertising. And so you go, hey, why did we stop selling the reds? Well, that's because it got split off. Nobody's finding it. And maybe people are, but certainly not as much when it was aggregated into that parent ASIN and all of those reviews, and you were sitting at a 4.7 rating, right? And then it goes away and suddenly you're down to a 4.2 overall. Now that's an extreme example, but that stuff happens. So that's orphaned ASINs. Split reviews is when all of your child ASINs are together, but they're not sharing the same reviews. So what happens is when a buyer goes to your account, they look at the product and they go, oh, I really like the red one. And because it's not sharing reviews, they go, oh, wait, the blue one has a 4.7. The red one's got a 3.8. There must be something wrong with the red one. I'm not buying the red one. And so as a result, why aren't I selling more reds? It used to be great. Well, you've got a split reviews issue. So we're looking for a lot more than what I just told you. We're making sure that the listing is live. We're making sure that you've got a qualified buy box so that there is a buy box there. We're checking for changes to your title, your image, your bullet points, and we've got a change log that you can look at and go, all these things changed. Have I fixed them? So we'll detect the date that an issue is found, and we will fill the date in when an issue has been resolved. And so if you've got a team, then you can basically keep track of what they're doing and making sure that they're resolving these issues. We're looking at wrong browse nodes, content that isn't allowed in there. We are looking at changes in your dimensional weight. That can cost you a lot of money if you're not detecting it. And Amazon doesn't tell you, oh, we changed the weight. Language detection, unauthorized text, If we find triplicate of text, so that's a new thing with Amazon, you cannot repeat anything more than 2 times in the title. So we're looking for that. That dropped about 2 months ago, I think. We're making sure the brand's correct. We've got, you know, it's a lot of stuff, honestly. It's more than what's on this list. Now, I've been selling an active seller for 15 years, and I never used anything like this before. I cannot believe how many issues there are uh with so many, like, we've never had, I'll put it to you this way, we've never had a client come into Catalog Defender that didn't have issues. We have done one audit for a client, which was who was it? Oh man, they sponsor me. Where's their stuff? These guys. Rhino USA. If you want an example of the best built and maintained listings I've ever come across, Rhino USA is it. Those guys have hundreds of products. We did an audit for them. Not a single issue was detected. Now, that of course changes, but all that to say is that they are on it, and you have to be just as on it as they are, because otherwise you're going to be, uh, death by 1,000 paper cuts is a thing. I call it profit loss by 1,000 issues. Okay, so that's enough about that. So back onto review removal. Why would you want to do it? It increases your traffic. It increases your star rating at times. It doesn't always, but it does increase traffic, sales, and conversion rate. It's possible to do. So if you have ecom triage do it, it's 100% compliant. We can remove 5 to 10% of your 1 to 3 star reviews, and we do our very best to remove fraudulent reviews. It takes convincing Amazon of doing that. So anybody that's on here gets a free audit. If you become a client of ours, this is basically the onboarding process. We do the free audit. You give us access to your account. For Catalog Defender, we actually need no access to your account at all. For the review removal, we just need to be able to file and manage cases. And then we're monitoring this every day. So onboarding is extraordinarily simple and quick for both services. All right, let's go to this point. If you would like to meet with me, I'll do, depending on, so full disclosure, I'm at 2 events back to back, and I've only got a couple of days available for the rest of the month. I'm not trying to like get you to do this now. It's just a fact. I think I literally have 2 days that I'm in the office over the next 2 weeks. But scan this QR code or go to sellercandy.ecomtriage.com and just provide me with any of your ASINs, and I'll run an audit, and then we'll do a 30-minute meeting, and I'll tell you what I found and what I'm able to do. If you there's a checkbox on there. If you want me to do a review audit, then check that box. If you want me to do a catalog audit, check that box. I'm also totally willing to do both for free. So you do whatever suits you best. And then once again, up in the top left corner, you can download this presentation. Cool. I think that's it. I'd love to take and answer any questions anybody has. Let me stop sharing my screen. There we go.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing, Danon. That was awesome.
Yeah. Cool.
So, are
Did
there
we
any
get?
questions coming through the Q&A or through the chat? Yeah, I mean, I guess question from me then, like what's the kind of success rate? I know you kind of mentioned it briefly, but what's the kind of success rate of if I have 1,000 reviews, 100 of them are probably problematic? How many children can I get rid of?
So on 1,000 critical reviews, it's actually more like 30-40% have some form of violation.
Mm,
But I'll probably be able to remove somewhere between 50 and 100 reviews. And that's not instantaneous either. it is a time suck. It would take me, I'll give you a perfect example. I've got a client, he's got about 1,200 critical reviews,
Mm.
and it's taken me, let's see, is 1,100, 1,200, something like that. It's taken me we're almost at exactly 12 months
Wow.
to remove 74 reviews or something like that.
Mm.
So, and it could be different. I've got another client had 120 reviews. I didn't get any reviews removed for him for the first 3 months. And last week we got his first review. It's like, finally, you know? So it's all over
Mm.
the map when it comes to what it takes to do this and what the results are going to be. But on average, I'll remove 5 to 10% of your critical written reviews.
Mm.
Um, and I'm going to go ahead and answer a question I get often is, hey, what about star ratings? Sorry, literally nothing can be done. I can't even see them. So that's very unfortunate, but it
Mm.
is what it is.
And how do you guys charge for
Um,
negative review removal?
so that's pay for performance.
Mm.
So you only pay for the reviews that get removed, and it's $200 per removed review. And we do have an onboarding fee, but John, depending on the conversation after this, John might convince me to give you guys a heck of a deal on that. And it's not a lot, by the way, but I'm not going to tell you. You gotta talk to me to find out how much does it cost to get started.
Thanks. I don't know what our conversation is going to be and what I have to do, but I don't know if I want to do that. All right.
No,
Okay.
maybe not.
What's next on your list, Danon?
I mean, that's pretty much it. I'd like to know if anyone here has any questions for me. And you can, like, I can shortcut, like I said, a lot of things. I'm kind of here to help, you know. Um, anyone that wants to talk to me, just sellercandy.ecomtriage.com is the way to do that. And then to get those audits as well.
Love it. Yeah, and I'd
That's
highly recommend talking to Danon. He's been around a long time, longer than me, and he knows what he's talking about. So yeah, I would
At
go and
least
talk
I
to
make it
Danon.
sound like I do.
Yes, he's got that nice smooth voice.
Yes, well,
Don't get lulled into
that's
it.
the microphone.
I like the way the
All
brand is
right.
nicely featured on the left-hand side.
Yes. Yes. Well, cool. If no one's got any questions, then sweet. I'm not going to answer any. Um, once again, it's sellercandy.ecomtriage.com. If you want that audit, just let me know and we'll chat about it. Thanks for
Cool.
listening, everyone.
Thanks, Danon. Thanks everyone for coming, and see you
All right.
all on the next Seller Candy webinar.